Scrappers, Moose here. So in this video I'm going to be showing you how to take apart some plumbing. I've got some bits and pieces from my old boiler system. I want to show you how to make the most amount of money from this. A lot of people will take this as is and you get a fraction of what it's worth simply because of, there's a lot of copper on it, but it's also mixed with brass and steel and solder. So in order to get the most money, I'm going to show you how to take this stuff apart. And really, you don't need a whole lot. Maybe a couple of wrenches and a sawzall, or a reciprocating saw. So let's take a look. Alright, so to start off, I'm going to move some of these pieces aside here. So we'll start off by going over what the scrapyard is going to pay you for. Alright, so this piece of copper right here, this would be number 1 copper up to that solder. I don't know if you can see there's a little bit of silver right there. See where it starts to turn silver? That's solder. You got to cut before that. So over here there's more solder as well. You have to cut above that. Right. So then what you're going to do, it can be a lot of work, but it's usually worth it, especially if you have a lot of it. You're going to want to cut right below the solder, so you have number 1 copper. Then cut right near the brass fitting, so you have number 2 copper. And then just remove, bits of steel from the valve, and you'll have a piece of clean brass. Now there's often in these valves another piece in the middle. So I'm just going to pull that piece off. Alright, so on that one, they'll let you get away with leaving it like that. So that'll be just one clean piece of brass. And if you want to test it, you just take your magnet and run it next to it. It doesn't even hint at sticking. So I'm pretty comfortable in saying there's no steel in it. There might be a little spring, but I don't think that the scrapyards will give you a problem with that. Now, of course, if you want, you can just unsweat these and reuse the valve. That's a totally viable option. Personally, I don't need the valves for anything, but that's that. So again, we're going to cut right before the solder, cut right after the solder, then again cut right after the brass, cut after the solder. Now, obviously, use your judgment. If you're just going to be cutting off, a little 1-inch piece, you may not want to bother, but it will make you more money if you do it that way. All right. So I'm going to start off on this end. This little piece over here, I'm not quite sure what it is, but it's not steel. There are little steel bits in it, but it's not steel. So I'm pretty sure it's probably brass. Most parts in a boiler system are copper or brass. And there are a few little bits in there that are steel. The magnet sticks to it. Alright, so unscrew what you can. You're not going to be able to unscrew everything. Yep, it's brass. You can see from the threads. Alright, so a little brass pile is building up here. And then over here, you can see there's some solder right there, so I'm going to cut on the other side of it. So this piece has no solder on either end. This to be considered number 1 copper. Now this, I'm going to take my file to it, because some of these fittings, you want to make sure that it's brass underneath, right? So what I can do is I can either cut it off right below the solder here, leave it as a piece and sell it as dirty brass, or take the time and cut all the little pieces off. So again, that's totally up to you. Personally, I don't really do it that much. This is hard to do without my bench vise. So there we go. So this, as is a piece of dirty brass because it has the brass chunk, but it also has the copper with the solder on it. And this piece, no solder, going up, all the way up, oops, until here. So I'm going to cut it right there. Alright, so, and this piece, I can either, again, trim the brass bits off or sell it as is as dirty brass, and number 2 coppers, separate it out. But as it is right now, just by separating these two things, I'm already getting about 30 to 40 cents more per pound than I would leaving it as a whole, and that just took me a few seconds to cut these off. Right, so just doing that will make you more money. So that pretty much sums up, scrapping plumbing. The more effort you put into it, into separating things out, the more money you're going to make, but as well more time you're going to put into it. Keep in mind that today's scrap prices are fairly low, so it's going to be the difference between, probably anywhere from 30 to 40 cents a pound in some cases. So if you have a lot, it's worth it. If you just have a few pieces and you don't go to the scrapyard often, I would say it's worth it. But again, it's up to you. So there you have it. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.